Right now, I need every man over 60 who masturbates to hear this. What you don't know about your habits could be draining your sexual vitality. I've seen patients struggle with weaker erections, fading sensitivity, and crushed confidence, all because of how they practice self-pleasure. Almost no one warns you. I'm Dr. Katherine Rotker. For over 20 years, I've specialized in senior men's sexual health. In my clinic, I help men like you navigate this exact challenge weekly. This is about empowering you. Masturbation isn't simply good or bad. Done wrong, it strains blood flow, disrupts hormones, and isolates you emotionally. Done right, it becomes a tool for strength. The difference lies in technique, timing, and awareness of your body's needs now. In this video, I'll reveal 6 hidden risks you've never been told, how to transform this habit into a health booster, and a natural 7-second method to reclaim firmness and drive. No pills or prescriptions, just safe, science-backed steps tailored for your age. Before we start, type 1 if this resonates with you, or 0 if it's new information. We read every comment and reply personally. Hit subscribe for honest senior health strategies. Now, let's uncover the first risk. It targets your emotional well-being in ways you'd never expect. Let's talk about something no one seems willing to say out loud. There's a silent drain on your energy that's easy to miss but powerful enough to rob you of your spark, especially if you've been relying on masturbation as a quick fix for stress or boredom. Many older men find themselves caught in a private cycle that chips away at their strength without even realizing it. Meet Robert, a retired engineer, 68 years old. After a life of solving complex problems and enjoying simple pleasures like woodworking and daily walks, he began to feel a strange heaviness. His sleep was steady, his medications hadn't changed, yet a deep exhaustion followed him day after day. When he tried to get back to his projects, he simply didn't have the strength. Robert told me, "Doctor, I don't know what's happening to me. I feel drained every morning, like someone stole my battery overnight. I'm too embarrassed to talk about it." That sense of confusion and hidden shame is more common than you might think. If you feel something similar, know this is not a moral failure. It's a health issue that deserves respect and understanding. The reason behind Robert's exhaustion ties back to a biological truth that most men never learn. When masturbation becomes frequent, your body can spike levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol puts your system on high alert, demanding resources to calm itself down. Over time, your recovery slows, your metabolism struggles, and what was once a harmless release starts leaving you tired, weak, and emotionally worn down. You deserve to live with strength and confidence, yet there's a quiet pattern that can rob you of both. When masturbation becomes too frequent, the subtle drain on your energy doesn't just stop at making you tired. It can spark a slow decline with far-reaching consequences. Fatigue often makes you skip physical activity, and less movement weakens your muscles, shrinks your endurance, and gradually chips away at your heart health and brain sharpness. Each small dip in your energy might feel harmless, but together they build up, leaving you vulnerable to infections, falls, and a loss of independence you never saw coming. Many men believe that constant sexual release will keep them young, strong, and vital. That belief is powerful, but it's not entirely true. The reality is that hormonal and metabolic shifts change how your body handles sexual release. Instead of charging you up, frequent release can drain the very systems you count on for stability and health. There's a smarter way to approach this. Aim for moderation, about 2 to 3 times a week at most, so your body can recover. Allow yourself rest days between sessions and support your hormone balance by eating nourishing foods and staying hydrated. Your body endured fatigue, but your brain faces an even deeper threat. Repeated self-stimulation after 60 can rewire your reward circuits and leave you chasing relief rather than enjoying it. Now we move from drained muscles to a nervous system primed for ever-rising cravings. You deserve a fulfilling sex life, but you also deserve to understand what dopamine dysregulation can do. Dopamine, the brain's reward messenger, works differently in a mature brain. The receptors that handle dopamine grow less responsive with the passing years, and that means you need more stimulation to feel the same spark you once did. The same habits that used to satisfy you may start to feel flat, driving you to repeat them more and more just to catch the original satisfaction. Thomas, a 71-year-old retired high school principal, lived with structure and clear routines all his life. Yet he described how masturbation stopped feeling like pleasure and turned into a daily requirement. In his own words, it wasn't about pleasure anymore. It felt like I couldn't think clearly until I did it. That scared me because I'd never felt so out of control. This is where the real concern begins, when a private act crosses the line into a daily compulsion that steals your mental freedom. The behavior grows less about desire and more about silencing a restless craving, leaving you alienated from your own intentions. Healthy sexual expression matters at any stage, but once dopamine-driven urges take over, your control starts to slip. One release becomes a ritual, then multiples each day, pushed by a reward system demanding more to reach the same payoff. This slippery slope happens because your brain raises the threshold for what feels rewarding. Neuroadaptation locks you into a cycle that becomes harder and harder to break. When that reward circuit keeps getting triggered by frequent release, the consequences reach far beyond the bedroom. Your motivation for hobbies can quietly fade. The spark that once made reading, gardening, or fixing things feel rewarding grows dull. Thoughts feel hazy, attention drifts, and a creeping sense of emotional flatness sets in, like color draining out of your daily life. Even though your body still responds, the drive to connect with people often fades. You may find yourself pulling away from friendships, from family, from simple human connection. That's the hidden tragedy. The brain gets trained to lock its cravings onto one target, sexual release, and all the other joys and rewards you once valued shrink into the background. This process creates what experts call neurochemical hijacking. It's when your reward system starts serving one narrow craving over all other forms of satisfaction. Instead of building a rich, varied sense of pleasure through connection, companionship, or creativity, it funnels all motivation toward a single repeated act. The cost is high. The world of joy around you narrows until it feels as if release is the only spark left. But there is hope. Your brain has an incredible power called neuroplasticity. It can rebuild healthier reward pathways, no matter your age. Slowing down the pattern can help you regain balance. Try to space out sessions, so at least a day passes between them. Move your body with a walk or gentle workout, since exercise raises dopamine in a more stable way. Reconnect with a neglected hobby, pick up a forgotten book, or call someone you trust. If you take these steps, you give your brain permission to relearn a richer pattern of reward, one that celebrates connection, purpose, and creativity. Intimacy means far more than climax alone. It includes sharing your thoughts, enjoying affectionate touch, and building bonds. When you allow masturbation to stand alone as your only source of comfort, you risk suffocating these deeper human experiences. These shifts might seem invisible, yet they carry enormous weight. Now that we've exposed hidden changes in your brain, let's turn to a threat you can't ignore: your heart under sudden strain. Even a seasoned cardiologist can miss this link between private self-stimulation and dangerous cardiovascular spikes. Frank had spent decades managing his high blood pressure with disciplined routine. He followed his doctor's instructions, took his medication on time, and even watched his salt and sugar. At 72, he felt confident about his health. But then, out of nowhere, he began experiencing sudden episodes of chest tightness, a pounding heartbeat, and dizzy spells. It didn't seem to fit any pattern, leaving both Frank and his cardiologist scratching their heads. His wife, worried but observant, quietly tracked when these episodes happened. She noticed a link that Frank had felt too embarrassed to admit. These frightening heart symptoms came on shortly after his private sexual release. Sexual arousal and climax place a unique stress on your cardiovascular system. Heart rate and blood pressure shoot up sharply for a few intense moments, creating a spike that even a steady medication routine may not fully buffer. For men over 60 living with hypertension, diabetes, or any history of heart disease, those brief spikes can push a vulnerable heart past its safe limits. Frank assumed his heart was strong enough because he stayed active and kept his numbers controlled. But sexual exertion isn't the same as a brisk walk or routine chores. During orgasm, the heart can jump 30 to 50 beats per minute, with blood pressure climbing sharply in seconds. A younger person's heart might tolerate those spikes, but an aging, repaired, or stiffened cardiovascular system can struggle. Think of it like an older car. You can drive it safely down a smooth highway, but a sudden, forceful acceleration can expose hidden engine weakness. The heart works the same way. Normal daily movement feels fine, but that quick surge in arousal, even during a solo moment, can trigger dangerous strain. Unlike exercise, which builds up gradually and gives the heart time to prepare, masturbation tends to hit the system all at once. The privacy, the secrecy, and the rush of sexual tension can combine into a powerful, unpredictable load on your heart. With no pacing or warm-up, the cardiovascular system gets no warning, and that's where the real risk takes root. These hidden risks, too, often stay buried until something goes wrong. I can tell you, as a doctor, we would rather help you manage these issues early than after a cardiac emergency lands you in the hospital. Moderating how often you engage in sexual activity, keeping its intensity reasonable, and being open with your doctor are simple steps that can save your life and protect your ability to enjoy sexual health for years to come. There is no reason to feel shame about discussing masturbation or sex with your physician. These topics are a normal part of your health profile, especially past 60. If you ever feel chest discomfort, sense your heart pounding irregularly, notice dizziness, or struggle to catch your breath during or after sexual release, take it seriously. Those symptoms might signal a cardiac problem that needs checking now, not later. A short conversation with your doctor could protect you from a life-threatening event and help you enjoy a safe, satisfying, intimate life with confidence. Your sexual well-being and your heart health are connected. They deserve the same respectful attention as any other part of your health. And while we've covered serious cardiovascular concerns here, stay with me because the next section will explore a problem just as important. Over-relying on masturbation as a way to manage stress or loneliness can quietly weaken your mental clarity, emotional balance, and even the sharp thinking you've built over decades. Let me share the story of David, who is 69 and spent years as a trusted accountant. His mind was his greatest asset, but recently his family noticed he was distracted, unfocused, and detached from the people who mattered most. David described it best himself. I'd find myself unable to concentrate on anything else. My thoughts would just circle back, and I couldn't focus on conversations with my grandchildren or even finish reading the newspaper. That's not a simple lapse. That's what happens when sexual release takes over as your main coping mechanism. It can start small, after retirement, facing health problems, or losing friends, but gradually it becomes a stand-in for working through feelings. Older men often move through big transitions all at once, making them more emotionally vulnerable. When masturbation steps in as the easiest comfort, your mind can get stuck in one repetitive loop instead of developing healthier ways to cope. Each time you reach sexual release, Your brain rewards you with a hit of dopamine and endorphins. That lifts your mood for the moment. But when you depend on that rush repeatedly, your brain loses flexibility, creating a mental fog and a rigid pattern of thinking that chips away at clear focus. Watch for these warning signs. You may notice difficulty concentrating on basic tasks, using masturbation to push away problems, or feeling irritable and anxious if you can't get that sexual release. Some men even begin ignoring relationships, hobbies, or daily responsibilities. You might also experience short-term memory slips or a cloudy mind after the act. It's important to protect your mental clarity and emotional balance. There's so much more available to you than an endless loop of release and regret. You can build a more solid foundation with simple, powerful tools. Try mindfulness practices to reconnect with your breath. Step outside for a daily walk, or explore Tai Chi to ease stress and tension. Channel your energy into painting, playing music, or even journaling. Meet new people, volunteer, or join a local club to rebuild your sense of belonging. And if you feel stuck, talking with a professional counselor can help you process grief, retirement changes, or other heavy emotions. These habits can break the cycle of relying only on sexual pleasure to soothe discomfort. They make room for more flexible, healthier ways to handle stress and disappointment. Emotional growth happens when you allow yourself to sit with difficult feelings instead of constantly running from them. Sexual pleasure is still yours to enjoy, but it deserves to be just one part of a wider, richer emotional life, not the only refuge you turn to. While cognitive impacts can creep in over time, the next concern reveals itself much faster. It affects how you see yourself in the mirror and how you carry confidence through each day. In my clinic, I met James. He never thought twice about losing a few strands of hair in the shower. At 73, he expected some thinning. After all, his father went bald early. But what alarmed him was how quickly the hair around his temples and crown started vanishing in just 6 months. The soft, healthy texture he had grown used to turn coarse and fragile almost overnight. James came to me frustrated, confused, and embarrassed. He blamed aging and family genes, convinced there was nothing he could do. But I saw patterns that didn't match ordinary male pattern baldness. His hair loss advanced too quickly, suggesting another factor was quietly accelerating the damage. Through a careful consultation, we uncovered a surprising detail. James had become more sexually active in retirement, using self-pleasure as a daily stress reliever. On the surface, that seemed harmless. Yet this habit triggered repeated hormone spikes, temporary boosts in testosterone, and, more importantly, DHT or dihydrotestosterone. DHT acts like a silent saboteur in genetically vulnerable men. It binds to receptors in your hair follicles, gradually shrinking them. Over time, the follicles become so miniaturized they simply stop growing hair altogether. Normally, this is a slow march taking years to unfold. But with repeated, frequent hormone surges, that process speeds up, hitting your scalp harder and faster than you ever expected. If you're in the habit of daily masturbation, especially during retirement, you might be unintentionally fueling those hormonal swings. That doesn't mean you must shut down your sexuality. It does mean you should see the bigger picture. Your genetics lay the groundwork, but your behaviors can push the accelerator. James wanted a solution, not another lecture about fate. So we built a practical plan together, step by step. If you find yourself in a similar spot, noticing that your hair feels thinner after weeks of frequent sexual release, you can start with simple, effective changes right now. Try cutting down to every other day, or even less, to help stabilize your hormone swings. Keep a small journal and note how your hair reacts over a few weeks. You might be surprised by the difference. Next, talk with your doctor about medical options. Medications like finasteride can help block DHT, slowing down the hair follicle shrinkage that robs you of healthy strands. It's not magic, but it can buy time and preserve your confidence. Beyond medication, think about how your daily habits support or strain your hormones. Eat foods rich in zinc, biotin, and lean proteins. These help anchor your hair's strength at the cellular level. Stay active with steady, moderate exercise. Walking, gentle weight training, or even swimming keeps circulation high and reduces the stress hormone cortisol, which can also throw off your hormonal balance. Managing stress goes deeper than you might think. Emotional worries and chronic tension affect your entire hormone network, including testosterone and DHT. Techniques like breathing exercises, social activities, or hobbies you love can calm those stress signals, protecting your hair and restoring your energy. Remember, moderate masturbation is not harmful by itself. You just need to find a rhythm that supports your health without tipping your hormones out of balance. Think of it as respecting your body's signals instead of ignoring them. By recognizing these signals, you stay in control rather than letting them control you. When James saw the connection between his sexual habits and his hair loss, it changed everything for him. He stopped seeing baldness as punishment and started seeing it as a clue that helped him balance his life, protect his confidence, and feel more at ease with himself. While hair loss mostly affects how you look, the next challenge goes straight to the heart of your sexual well-being. And that risk can shake your confidence even more. Let's talk about it next, because what happens downstairs can change how you live every single day. Men often expect mild changes in their intimate abilities as they move through different stages of life. But what I'm about to reveal goes far beyond the usual wear and tear. The hidden truth is that repeated, intense self-stimulation can literally train your brain to demand a single, specific pattern of pleasure. And when that pattern changes, like when you try to connect with a new partner, your erection may not fully cooperate. Michael, age 66, knows this frustration all too well. After the end of a long marriage, he wanted to rediscover his sexuality, to feel alive again. But despite being deeply aroused, he realized his erections felt weaker, faded more quickly, and left him worrying he might fail in front of someone new. That kind of letdown chips away at a man's confidence and makes dating feel like stepping onto a battlefield with no armor. Let's be clear. This issue isn't simply a drop in testosterone or sluggish blood flow. Of course, those play a role, but the real trouble sits in your brain. By constantly stimulating yourself in one predictable way, you hardwire your arousal to follow that specific route. When the setting or pace changes, like in real-world intimacy, the brain struggles to shift gears. Think of it this way. Over time, your repeated habits create a deep groove in your nervous system. Each session of solo release makes that groove deeper. So when you want to be intimate with another person, your arousal gets stuck in the old pattern and refuses to travel a different path. That's what doctors call weakened erection quality. Firmness that slips away, erections that need more intense or very specific triggers to stay strong, and a sense of disconnect that hits you right in the gut during partner sex. Many men report they perform fine alone, but the moment a partner comes into the picture, things collapse. That mismatch feels humiliating and, over time, drains the desire for closeness altogether. But the truth is that you are not broken. You haven't failed. These changes are simply your brain adapting to repetition. And the good news is that your arousal pathways can recover. By gradually retraining your sexual responses, you can break out of the trap. Let's go through a clear, step-by-step action plan you can put into practice starting today. First, give yourself a break. 7 to 14 days away from any sexual activity, including masturbation. Think of this as a reset for your body's natural sexual wiring. That pause allows your nerves and brain circuits to regain their sensitivity and respond to fresh, more diverse stimulation. When you return to sexual activity, switch up the routine. Use a lighter touch, explore different angles, and vary your pace. Breaking those old repetitive patterns helps retrain your mind and body to respond more flexibly, the way it does with a real partner. Next, slow things down with mindfulness. Pay attention to every sensation in your body. Let the experience unfold rather than racing toward climax. If you only chase fantasy or rush, you keep strengthening those narrow patterns that have worn down your arousal pathways. After that, begin to include elements of partner-like stimulation. You might use sounds, movements, or textures that mimic shared intimacy. These small shifts help reconnect your arousal to a more realistic and fulfilling sexual style. Finally, change your focus. Instead of putting all the attention on orgasm, emphasize the pleasure of the entire experience, from arousal to connection to the sense of presence. Your sexual system can recover its full range of feeling and function when you give yourself permission to enjoy the whole journey, not just the finish line. Now, let's highlight something crucial. The male body, even in the later decades of life, can adapt with stunning resilience. What feels stuck or broken is usually just a pattern that can be reshaped gently and patiently. Patience, compassion, openness to trying new approaches, and the belief that sex can absolutely improve with some thoughtful adjustments, these are the keys. Many of my patients who followed this approach have seen powerful changes: firmer, more dependable erections, new levels of confidence, and a deeper sense of closeness with their partners. Their experiences remind us that the body and mind can be reawakened no matter how long they've stayed locked in the same routine. Here's one reason this problem slips under the radar. It creeps up over time. Weak erection quality tied to repeated solo stimulation doesn't slam into your life overnight. It inches forward until you suddenly feel distant from true connection or notice anxiety in the bedroom. Think of this like reinforcing a bridge. It may need some repairs, a little attention, and the right strategies, but when restored, it can carry you with even greater strength and confidence into satisfying, connected intimacy. Masturbation after 60 doesn't wear a label of good or bad. It's simply a tool, one that depends on how you choose to use it. That choice can strengthen your confidence or drain your sense of vitality over time. It deserves careful thought and awareness because your health and happiness still deserve protecting. This season of life isn't about giving up pleasure or cutting out what you enjoy. It's about handling things with more intention, more care, and more wisdom than ever before. You have the chance to shape a new chapter with greater satisfaction and deeper meaning. Your body still responds. Your desire still carries value. These aren't leftovers from your youth. They're living parts of you right now. A few small shifts in your habits can transform private moments from something that weighs you down to something that truly lifts you up. With a little focus, masturbation can become a source of energy and well-being rather than regret or frustration. If this conversation struck a chord, stay with me. I'll be sharing a simple, natural approach in an upcoming video that has already helped countless men regain a sense of strength, purpose, and sexual vitality. You might even feel a positive change as soon as tomorrow morning. Let's talk about it.